Okay, so we invest in the shoes, we get the plan, we have the app, we're going and we're doing the runs, and now my personal least favorite thing to do, but I know I'm supposed to do it, so I do it, is the post-run stretch. That dreaded, or it shouldn't be dreaded, but that post-run stretch. That's what you're asking Armand. Why is post-run stretching so important?
It's interesting because exercise physiologically speaking, there's no research that says that stretching works, which was incredible. When I first started my undergrad, Cal State LA, shout out Golden Eagles, I learned that they've tried to see what are the effects of stretching and how can stretching prevent injuries, which you can't say that. No scientist would say that because there's no scientific proof that it is.
Right.
But I have a plethora of testimonial evidence, which with myself and with all my athletes. I think the main reason why you would want to stretch post-run is to get to the next run. Every runner knows, if you've been running for a long period of time, that if you do not stretch after one workout, when you start to warm up for the next workout, your muscles are like Velcro. It's because muscle has memory. And we learn that. We learn that early on as when you take on exercise physiology. You learn that within those little muscle spindles, there's a contractual length that gets memorized with the muscle. A good example is when you cut a chicken's head off and it bounces around. It's because neuromuscular is a pattern. It's a pattern. And stretching is part of that neuromuscular pattern. There's muscle spindles in there, there's Golgi tendon organs, there's all these things that happen when the muscle is stretched or it's tensed. So what is running? Running is stretching and tensing muscles in a fluid rhythmic pattern, which is stretching, is the same thing. Now there's two types of stretching. There's dynamic stretching and there's static stretching. The static stretching is important after. The dynamic stretching is important before because it warms up the muscle. So plethora of research. I can't remember my professor's name. I was going to shout him out, but he did a huge study with the U.S. military on stretching, the effects of stretching on performance, which it has a negative. Static stretching has a negative effect on performance. So it's not good to static stretch before you're there to perform because you can stretch out the Golgi tendon organ, that snap reflex that you need, what a sprinter would do. But what a sprinter would do and what a distance runner would do after you run is that you stop, because once you finish your bout of exercise, when you do static stretching, it's telling the body to relax now. That's not something you want to tell the body when you're about to do something aggressive. But it's important because what you do is after you've really contracted those muscles after a while and you get the, okay, give you a scientific term, the DOMS, the delayed onset of muscle soreness, which is not lactic acid. It's torn muscle tissue that causes muscle soreness because every time your foot hits the ground, it's about 1,600 steps per mile. Foot hits the ground, the muscle shakes to dissipate the forces on the bone. If we didn't have muscle, we would be cracking our bones all down the road. The muscle shakes so the bone doesn't get the force. But that shaking creates muscle tearing. Not only the shaking of impact, but also the stretching of the muscle to run, the lifting and the powering of the muscle to move so we can move our skeleton down the road. So all those things create a muscle soreness. If you stretch post, you can eliminate a lot of the DOMS because that stretching creates a relaxing tension and it also pushes oxygen through the muscles. It gets those muscle spindles to relax so that way they don't relax shortened and there's internal bleeding on them. So there's the bruising, the bleeding, which creates scarring, scabbing internally. now the next day you didn't stretch, you didn't cool down, you didn't do any of those things. You go to warm up and it's like the muscle's like this because this is the way you left it, muscle memory, and you go to move it, and then that's where you see everybody, moving down the road in the mornings or whenever you do your run. Yeah, it's to prepare your machinery. If you are a NASCAR driver and you take that car, you don't just shut the engine off. You went 400 miles an hour or whatever they go, 289 or whatever. Yeah, you just don't shut the engine off. Same thing with runners. We just don't shut the engine off. You cool it down, walk, whatever it is that's cooling down for you, and then you stretch it out and you calm the machine down to get ready for the next rev up.
Got it. On the reverse side of stretching, dynamic, you touched on the dynamic and like drills and things like that. Does that help prep the body to fire? What would you say is like the thought behind, that, like the drills or any dynamic kind of lead up into a run or a workout?
It has a lot to what we just talked about. It's prepping your machinery for performance, for whatever it is, and it's if I've seen it before, and there are some videos that you can see of the camps that are out in Nairobi and Kenya, and these places where they have these camps of where Cheptegei, Kipchoge, all these people have come out of these amazing camps of training where they come in community and they train together. They run 3 times a day. If you see them in their morning run, they are literally running 9-minute pace, and they look like someone took some 2x4s to their legs the night before. And it's normal to have what we used to call the marathon shuffle. And it's people who do a lot of miles, you do a lot of work on your legs. That's normal. What's not normal is for that to be constant. If it's constant, then there's an issue that the muscles are not recovering.
Oh, okay.
There's a problem with recovery. And now that has a lot to do with nutrition, what you feed your body, your machine. But it also has to do with proper warm-up and proper cool-down. I've been a university coach, college coach, and the warm-up and the cool-down to a professional athlete is sacred. It's a pattern. It's a routine. And every athlete has a routine. I don't care what they do. Even chess players have a routine to get ready. And you have to find what your routine is. This is one medium where you learn that you should have one, but then there's other ways to do. There's drills like you mentioned, or there's a lot of things. For my athletes, it's teaching them different things and then them figuring out, okay, what is it that I need? And then once you put those together, then you will feel fluid and your performance won't suffer.
And so my thing when I'm watching videos or researching is there's so much out there. And I'm like, man, there's all of a sudden it gets overwhelming. How much time do you think we should dedicate to stretching and kind of drills before? And what do you think, like on average, would say, should I just pick, a good maybe 4 to 5 stretches or a couple of drills, that way I don't have to like overwhelm myself like, well, in this video I saw these 3, and this video I saw these, like which ones should I do and how many? Like, is it good if, I just pick a couple and then just call it a day and then maybe add a couple, as I go? But yeah, how much time do you think is a fair amount to spend on that? And how many do you think is not to overwhelm somebody like me?
I think also it goes back to earlier what we talked about is how finding that pattern where, like, let's say you're going to do 3 days a week. Okay. 3 days a week is going to turn into 4 days a week. Yeah, so it will grow as you find the need, but you have to be open to change. You have to be open to doing more. In certain instances, more is better. So when you say how much time, I think we have a term, and I don't know if it still is in exercise physiology when you're in school. We called it KISS, the acronym KISS, K-I-S-S. Keep it simple, stupid.
All right.
That was a big thing when I was going to school, and all my professors used to use that KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Just keep it simple.
Cool.
You don't have to all of a sudden, have this, trigonometry, formula for your and you're just starting.
I see some exercises and I'm just like, oh my God, like my body can't move like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to learn what are the muscles that are being stressed the most. Okay, hamstrings, glutes, quads, soleus, calves, gastrocs, planars, all the things that are important for your machinery, for your propulsion. Those are the things that you need to keep nimble.
Okay, cool.
Your soft tissue, your IT band, all the issues that you've heard these before, these terms, piriformis, all the things that we deal with every day here at Run With Us, and I deal as a coach, is that there's stretches for these things. I would say, look at what are the common issues that may happen to runners. There's a plethora of them online. Find the stretches, and you do physical therapy before you need it.
Got it.
One of the things I used with my athletes growing up is I went through physical therapy because I had a torn iliacus muscle, and I started to work with some great people over at CATS, and they were amazing. Shout out to AG and Kevin, and they got me back going, and these things. What I did is I took what I learned and I put it in my warm up and cool down.
Okay.
And I put it in the exercises to do.
Cool. All right. So to summarize, stretch, make sure to stretch. Your body is a machine. You warm it up, cool it down, and then also KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Bam.
Oh, and one other thing before you go. If you find yourself in not having enough time, then shorten the workout so you can have time. Okay. Don't say, oh, I can't. One of the worst things you do is do a workout, jump in your car, and rush to work. That's all of us. We're hobbyists. We're not professional athletes. We have regular jobs we have to get to. But it's an important hobby to us. It's what we love. It's what what motivates us. But if you feel like you want to get 10 more minutes of running and avoid the stretching, I would rather you get the 10 more minutes of stretching and stop the running, because if you're consistent, it's not going to matter.
All right. I'm sold. I'm going to cut my workouts now or plan it better. But cool. Thanks, Arman, for covering that topic.